I'm going to show you how to turn fresh pressed apple juice into hard apple cider without the help of commercial yeast. We'll be using the wild yeast that's naturally in apple juice to make what's known as a wild cider or a naturally fermented cider. The only ingredient you need for this recipe is unpasteurized, preservative-free apple juice. If you can't get your hands on fresh pressed apple juice, there's a video down in the description where I will teach you how to inoculate or yeastify regular store-bought apple juice with wild yeast. I'm going to be covering the ingredient that we're using, all of the basic homebrewing equipment, and the entire method from fermentation to bottle carbonation. And at the end of the video, I'll be cracking open a bottle of my own wild cider and giving it a taste test. This cider ferments to about 7% ABV. It's crisp, carbonated, and one of my favorite ciders so far. All of the ingredients, the equipment, and the entire method is written down in the description below for you to reference. So without further ado, let's start making some naturally fermented cider. My wild cider has only one ingredient, fresh pressed apple juice. It has not been pasteurized and has no preservatives. Mine even has a warning label saying that it's not processed and may contain harmful bacteria. To me, this means the yeast has not been messed with and it's ready to brew. Not many places sell fresh pressed apple juice, but you can look at your local farmer's market, your local orchard, or I encourage you to press it yourself. You are going to need some basic homebrewing equipment to make your wild cider. I use a 1-gallon glass jar or carboy to ferment my cider, and I use an airlock which allows bubbles to escape during fermentation while keeping anything else out. I use a basic turkey baster to sample my apple juice in my cider, and I use a funnel which allows me to easily pour my apple juice into the carboy. I can't recommend highly enough using a graduated cylinder and a hydrometer to measure specific gravity before you start fermenting and during fermentation to check its progress. Please, before using any of your equipment, ensure that it is at the very least thoroughly washed, if not also sanitized. I scrub and rinse all of my equipment using non-scented dish soap, and then I sanitize it using Star San sanitizer. This ensures that no harmful bacteria or other yeast strains are getting into your brew and changing your final product or even ruining it. Our method for making wild cider is simple and contains 3 steps: preparing for fermentation, and bottle carbonation. Let's make some cider. Once all of your equipment is cleaned and sanitized, you can go ahead and add your fresh pressed apple juice to your 1-gallon carboy. While filling my carboy, I take the opportunity to check the specific gravity of my apple juice. This will tell me how much sugar is in my apple juice, therefore telling me what the potential alcohol content of my cider may be. My apple juice measured in around 1.050, and I always write this down and keep it for future reference. I then vigorously shake my apple juice, incorporating oxygen into the solution. This will help my yeast multiply, helping it do the job of eating sugar and producing alcohol. I then add my airlock, which will allow the gases to escape during fermentation and also keep anything unwanted out of the cider. And now we wait as our wild yeast turns our fresh pressed apple juice into wild cider. The ideal temperature for fermentation is between 68 and 72 degrees Fahrenheit. I like to ferment my cider inside of a splash pan in case there's any unwanted overflow. You should notice bubbles coming out of your airlock within the first few days, and you should expect fermentation to take anywhere from 10 days to a few weeks. After it's been a few weeks and I notice that bubbles have stopped coming out of my airlock, I take another specific gravity reading to see where we're at. I'm looking for specific gravity to read around 1.000. This means that most of the sugars have been consumed and it's time for me to start bottling my cider. The process of bottle carbonation is very simple. Now that our cider is fully fermented and ready to be bottled, we're going to add some more sugar to get it fermenting again. This time, fermentation will happen within a closed bottle. This will force all the newly produced CO2 to go into the cider instead of out of a bubbler, therefore carbonating our cider. It just so happens that your average cup of apple juice has the perfect amount of sugar required to carbonate 1 gallon of cider. So all I do is I add 1 cup of store-bought apple juice to my cider before bottling. I then use a cleaned and sanitized racking cane to transfer my finished cider over to a cleaned and sanitized carboy in order to mix it with my 1 cup of apple juice. You want to make sure that you leave all of that sediment at the bottom of your carboy behind. Those are called the lees. Getting those mixed up in your cider can cause your cider to have unwanted flavors. Then I make sure to mix that apple juice in with the cider before bottling. I bottle my cider in recycled beer bottles. I remove the label, thoroughly wash, and sanitize my bottles before adding the cider. I use a bottling wand to fill my bottles all the way to the top, and then as I remove the bottling wand, a bit of headspace is left behind. However you fill your bottles, make sure to leave approximately 1 inch of headspace for proper carbonation. Then I cap my bottles using sanitized crown caps and a bottle capper. If you prefer not to mess with crown caps and bottle cappers, you can always bottle your cider using flip-top bottles instead. Then we store our bottles and let them carbonate. Carbonation takes typically 2 to 3 weeks, but I like to check a bottle every week just to see how it's going. So we have our beautiful cider poured. We went from taking some fresh pressed apple juice. I got some unpasteurized, preservative-free apple cider from a farmer's market. I put it in a sanitized 1-gallon carboy with an airlock. What I was looking for was for the specific gravity to go to about 1.000, and I was waiting for bubbles to stop coming out of the top and for the lees, that sediment that grows at the bottom of your carboy, to stop building up. I noticed all of those things. I wasn't going for perfect clarity, and I decided it was time to bottle. I racked it over to a separate container where I added 1 extra cup of apple juice. This was the sugar that we needed in order to carbonate it in the bottle. I mixed that up. I used my racking cane and bottling wand to bottle all of my cider. I made sure to wash and sanitize all my bottles beforehand. I capped them, then I let them sit for 2 to 3 weeks. Now, sometimes carbonation is a hit or a miss, but I can definitely tell that this carbonated quite well. So that is how we got to this point. So let's go ahead and smell, look at, and taste our cider. Now, just sitting this far away from my cider, I can already smell the very fragrant bouquet of the cider, and I want to compare it to my cider that I made from concentrate. My cider from concentrate also had a strong bouquet. What that smelled like was apple juice. What this smells like is fresh apples. I know that the distinction might not be that great, but to me it is. Compare fresh apples that you pick from an orchard versus Mott's apple juice. This is the fresh apples. Wow. This is very carbonated. It makes me wonder if it might end up being over-carbonated the longer that I let it sit, but it is very carbonated and I'm quite happy with it. I am not a sommelier. I don't know how to perfectly describe everything I'm tasting. This fermented all the way down. I did not back sweeten it. I did not add any extra sugars, but it does not taste dry the way that a wine may taste dry. It has a very pleasant, sweet, and crisp flavor. I use the word crisp for all my ciders. Your cider should be crisp. If it's not crisp, it's probably watery. This is definitely not watery. It has a very, very full and sharp, acidic, crisp flavor. It's like towards the front of your mouth, you're getting all those sweet, flavorful, fruity notes, and then whenever you swallow it, you get that more acid, bitey flavor. I really don't have a whole lot more words to describe that, which is a surprise because I usually have something to say. This, if you were to compare this to your basic commercial cider, I would say that it has a much fuller flavor. Those always taste like they dilute them down and add sugar to make up for the alcohol content. This has a very full, rich flavor. I'm not getting any super wild, crazy, or funky flavors that you might get with a wild cider, but I would say that this is definitely more on the acidic side. It's very sharp, but not overpowering. So I don't have anything else to add. I'm so glad that all of you beautiful people are here learning how to make your own wild cider at home. I hope that you learned something. I hope you found something valuable. If you have any thoughts, comments, or ideas about your own naturally fermented cider, feel free to put them down in the comments below. And if you had a good time here, I always appreciate when you hit the thumbs up button and let me know that you liked the video. The ingredients, equipment, and method are all down in the description below. I can't wait to see what we're brewing next, but until then, happy brewing.